Podcast fam, take 2 University of Florida grads, throw in a couple temporary jobs at a local sushi restaurant, add some uncovered talent and newfound passion, sprinkle in an epiphany. What do you get? An imaginative new way to bring the essence of Japanese restaurants that push Japanese beyond sushi. For Hiro Leung, his venture began with the opening of Dragonfly Gainesville in 2000, an upscale modern interpretation of traditional Japanese pub or izakaya. Dragonfly Restaurant is one of Gainesville's most unique and desired Japanese restaurants, with 2-hour dinner waits still a weekly occurrence more than 19 years after opening its doors. We sit down with Hiro and hear how this Gainesville business has grown to Orlando and now to Miami. Hear his amazing story and all of the incredible plans that lie ahead in today's episode 152 of the WHOA GNV podcast. You are listening to WHOA Podcast, coming to you from Gainesville, Florida. We're going to go in 3, 2, 1. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the WHOA GNV Podcast, the podcast bringing you businesses and individuals that make you go, whoa. I am your host, Collin, and today, my first and glorious and most amazing sponsor is The Best Restoration. We all know that due to the impact of COVID-19, COVID-20, COVID-21, COVID-22, honestly, who knows at this point? But things seem to be getting a lot better, I will say that. That deeply cleaned and highly sanitized businesses are the new norm. You know your customers are going to want to walk into a business they know is safe. Make sure you call The Best Restoration, and let them help you keep your business top notch. These guys can handle it all. Let me just list some of their services real quick so you understand the capabilities that these guys have. These guys do water extraction and restoration, mold remediation, which they've helped us with in the past, area rug cleaning, air duct cleaning, carpet cleaning, tile and grout cleaning, carpet repairs. They have carpet protection services, upholstery cleaning services, fire damage restoration, and so much more. Be sure to give our friends at The Best Restoration a call at 352-505-3321 or visit them at thebestrestoration.com. Jorge, my man, thank you so much for everything that you do for this community and for supporting our show. And I also want to give love to the GNV Commercial Advisors at Colliers Gainesville. Gainesville is growing every day, and no one knows that better than the GNV Commercial Advisory team at Colliers Gainesville. They help businesses and investors of all sizes buy, sell, lease, and manage their properties in North Central Florida. The GNV Commercial Advisory team has the most local experience and expertise in town. Plus, they have the resources of a global firm to get your commercial real estate deal done. Are you ready to get started on your next commercial project? See what these guys can do for you at colliers.com/Gainesville. I've said those words so many times. Colliers.com/Gainesville. Dan Drodos, Jason Hurst, Bennett Harrell, and the entire team over at Colliers. Thank you so much for your support. Absolutely love you guys. And I'm so grateful that you supported this episode, because this episode is going to be epic. You guys, today on the show, we have Hiro Leung, president of Dragonfly Restaurants. Hiro, welcome to our show.
Oh, man. Well, thank you very much for inviting me here today.
I'm excited that you're here. It's funny because, you're one of those people that I've been 2 degrees away from, in the Gainesville network for so long. And I've heard incredible things about you and your business. And I'm like, man, I cannot wait to get this guy on the show. And we were able to make it happen. So thank you for being here.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I absolutely. And you brought some snacks too. That was so generous. Why don't you can you tell us what these snacks are really quick?
Well, I know today you invited Andy from the Ice Doctor, and I figured if you're going to be, I'm sure you weren't just drinking ice, right? I'm sure you had some spirits with it.
Really great stuff, yeah.
Well, cheers and thanks. I figured And I know you haven't probably had dinner, and I figured you can probably get a little bit of snack in your system while you. I didn't bring sushi, but I did bring a couple of interesting things from my hometown.
Okay.
When you drink, you actually want to eat some wasabi flavored peas. Those just go so well because it just balances out your.
Why don't you crack that open? Let me go ahead and taste this. I've never had this before.
Let
you
the
guys.
food do its talking. Can you handle spice?
Spicy? Yeah, I like some spicy.
Are you
stuff.
about to?
So
got a little bit of
wasabi.
heat.
It's got some kick to it, huh?
Wasabi flavored peas. Here,
So these
go
are
for
from
it.
your hometown, which is
I'm from Japan.
okay,
My mother's Japanese. My father's Chinese.
right? Where in Japan?
Okinawa.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is like
It's kind of like a favorite down there, especially with beer, and you wash it down with some good alcohol. How's that? What's the?
those are good. Those
yeah.
got some kick to them, though.
Oh,
yeah.
It's
Wasabi flavored peas.
yeah, it's got some nice texture. This over here is shrimp crackers.
Those are
Like if you like, what is it in America? The vinegar and salt Cape Cod chips.
yeah. it's
Kind of like at that level, but it has like nice umami.
So,
Give it a
Moss,
little-
if I hold this up, you'll be able to see it or no? Yeah. So this is
Shrimp crackers.
Shrimp crackers. Right on, man.
Some crazy stuff.
Dude, it smells like shrimp too. Dude,
Yeah, don't
that's
smell it, just eat it.
crazy. It like legit smells like it. You don't see any shrimp, but it smells like shrimp.
Yeah. Just don't eat that as a substitute for dinner and lunch, right? You got to make sure that you complement it with. So what's your
Shrimp
take?
crackers. Actually, really not bad.
Right?
I could kill that whole bag right now. I think I like
What's
the
your-
wasabi peas better though.
Yeah, you like
Yeah, I like the kick behind it.
it? It's all yours.
So, do you buy this stuff locally, or like you're getting it shipped in, or what?
No, I actually had. So all these are nostalgic to my childhood, and once in a while, I try to not forget my heritage, and I always, my kids are growing up. I want to make sure they give a little bit of
some?
culture. I'm good actually. Yeah, I brought it for you only.
Oh, thanks, man. I'm
Leave it and save it.
gonna save some for my team tomorrow. They'll be like, "What are you giving us?" No, these were really good. Thank you for that.
Absolutely.
So, so how often do you get to go back? Have you been back in a while or no?
Yeah, it's it's been years. I used to go back maybe once every few years to go visit my mom. My dad's over in Hong Kong, but every time I go back, I feel inspired, and I come back to the States, and I feel like a modern day merchant to try to figure out what I can bring back to the States.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I'm sure several people have heard your story here locally, but like, I'll be straight with you, man. I haven't.
Yeah.
So I'm super excited to dive into this and just kind of hear your story, hear what brought you to the United States, hear what brought you to Gainesville, and just if you can just unfold it for me and just how you even started this amazing restaurant and restaurants at this point.
Yeah, I guess the best starting point is 21 years ago. 20, maybe a little bit more, 22, but I don't want to disclose my age. I went to University of Florida, I graduated, and I went to Japan to work. I had a job lined up to go to Chicago for an advertising agency, and unfortunately that job didn't fall through, so I was unemployed, and I decided to, because I went to University of Florida, I decided to wait on tables. And I was just pretty much just wasting my life away. And my brother then said, "Hey, Hiro, you're my older brother. What are you doing with your life?" I was pretty much pissing it away. It wasn't too much. So I put together a business plan for the restaurant that I was working at. And I gave her the business plan with a lot of the unique selling proposition, the marketing, who you need to hit. And she said, "Hey, Hiro, I love what you did, but this isn't for me. I am done. I'm trying to retire. I'm not trying to do anything more with this."
And this was the restaurant you were working at?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not here anymore, but this was an old restaurant that I was at 21 years ago, serving tables. And so instead, I took that plan and pretty much got off the couch and just opened up the small restaurant and said, "Hey, let's do this until we find a real job." Yeah, that was 22
That was
years
it.
ago.
Like, let's launch a restaurant until we find a real job.
Yep.
I don't feel like most people do that.
I'm still looking for that real job. I mean, you go into a restaurant just kind of like to make ends meet. Pretty much that's what people do, in college and whatnot. And so it's until, up until this point, I'm really just, trying to have fun at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, so that was, 21 years. So you were entering the scene the same time I was.
Oh, wow.
So I started this business in 2004, but I came to Gainesville in 2000.
Yeah.
So that was when you opened Dragonfly?
That's it, 2000.
It's been in the same place that entire time?
No, actually, okay, so it's taken its turn of growth. And I think in 1999, my partner and I were doing this for a while, and we had a line out the door because all we had was 10 tables, and we're like, oh my gosh, this place is busy. We got some money. What do you want to do with it? And we're like, should we, buy a car or do the stupid thing and expand? Obviously, we picked the latter route, and we expanded into next door when Hooters was available. Hooters was actually next door, so in 2005.
Oh, you're right, yeah. They were on that corner.
5 years later, we actually dumped all the money that we had and expanded our tables and seats and staff. And we're like, all right, let's cross our finger and see if people will come. And a couple of years later, we're like, oh my gosh, we're really busy. So we're doing just as well. We've got some money. What do you want to do, Song? We're like, you want to buy a car or do you want to, do the stupid thing and expand? So we went across town and opened up another restaurant, 2,500 square feet. And that was busy. And so it was called Rolls and Bowls back then.
Okay.
It was an idea of a Chipotle-esque with Japanese. And we said, hey, look, we eat this for lunch. We just get a bowl and just throw everything in there and make a meal out of it. Why not serve it to the guests too? So that was the birth of Rolls and Bowls, 2006 or 7. We looked at each other and said, hey, mind you, at this time, my business partner and I were driving like beat up beaters, and we were living in our apartment with like college kids, and an epiphany hit when he's like, Hiro, I can't get any dates. I think I need to buy some material goods and have a nice flashy car or have some nice things to show off. And we're like, nah, let's just keep expanding. So we took that, the money that we saved up, and in 2010 we opened up Orlando restaurant. We said, hey, we're out of Gainesville. We're from the school of hard knocks. Let's see if we can actually make it in the bigger town. So we opened smack dead in the middle of Orlando, where it's called Restaurant Row. And then fast forward a little bit more, we saved up enough, and the pattern just keeps going. Organic growth, and we opened up Miami recently.
Organic growth. So you opened up Miami what year?
Miami was about 5 years ago. So with 2001, so 2016-ish.
Okay.
Was Miami.
That's
a history in a nutshell.
So, tell me a little bit about your business partner. You guys, when did you guys meet? How did you guys connect?
He was he was a sushi chef.
Okay.
My brother is also a part of the business. He was our dishwasher. And we just did everything under the roof. I think our goal has always been to become obsolete. And we've done it all. We still do it all. As a matter of fact, a few days ago, I had to. I was in Miami, and we were short staffed, so I was running food and washing dishes.
Oh man!
And it just my teachers, my mentors have always taught me, Hiro, it's success doesn't lead to success. You have to taste failure. You have to grind it out. And so, one of my favorite quote was. What did he say? That's always stuck with me. It's you need, in this business, you need a blue collar work ethic with a white collar mindset. That just hit home for me, and ever since then, my sleeves are always rolled up.
Yeah, dude, that's huge. And that really hits home for me. Even in this time, because I don't know, just even with a lot of the things that have happened over the last year with COVID and the impact there. We've made it through, and we're going to make it through, which is great. And the University of Florida is going to open up, in the fall. And but man, at times I'm like, man, this is super humbling because I'm back,
I'm back on the showroom floor.
That's what I heard.
I emailed you, right? I emailed you and I was like, well, I would love to record this sooner, but I'm like working the showroom floor from 9:30 to 5:30 all day, and that's when I'm doing the sales part of the job. And then I like lock that door at 5 o'clock, and then at 5:30 my team starts to leave, and then it's like, all right, now I'm doing the management owner stuff. And it's
I get it.
Super humbling.
So right after COVID, nobody wants to go to work. So I'm sure you're experiencing that right now, where you have to just roll up your sleeves again.
So you're feeling the same thing? I mean,
absolutely.
People just don't want to get back to work.
It's a combination. Yeah, people don't. It's inertia, especially in the restaurant business. It takes a little while to get up and get back into it, and many, I think, for the past year, have thought, "Is this for me? Can I do something else? Maybe I can go look for my real job now." And there's been a lot of exit in our industry. And imagine, right? If you've been cooped up at home all day, what do you want to do? You want to go out.
Right.
You want to get some food. And so the demand's been there without the supply. So it's definitely been tough. It's good business, but it's been tough.
Yeah. I mean, even thinking about like just I don't know. So I'm like super interested in kind of like you used the word organic, and actually when we were talking to Andrew last week, we were very much talking about that same sort of thing, because he's in a very in this place of organic growth. I mean, has that been the case with going to Orlando and going to Miami? Like, why those locations? Was there something that sparked it just to happen at those locations? Why not why not Jacksonville? What led to those decisions, and why did you open up in Orlando and then Miami?
I think that's a great question. We go by a cultural value called Kaizen. In Japanese, Kaizen means continual growth and continual learning. And I think in life, you always want that pressure, or you should, because, if you're not moving, you're pretty much decomposing, right? And everything in life, just, you're never at a standstill. You're either going backwards or you're going to move forward. And as a company and as a cultural value, I've really cherished and admired, and try to push people to be a little uncomfortable. And this COVID thing sucked. But at the end of the day, I feel like, you don't want to waste what do you call it? You don't want to waste a crisis. You really, that's the time to shine. That's the time for your values to really come out. That's when you really put to test.
Is that what happened for you guys?
Talking about the growth for Orlando and Miami, I felt like, we as a team could push further into the other bigger markets and, learn from our mistakes, learn from our successes. I think that's the reason why we really, really pushed it. And, I feel like if we don't, we're not really growing.
Yeah.
So, absolutely. That's really much, our path and why we did that.
So, I mean, with like, how was the COVID impact for you guys? When it happened, like what was going through your mind as an entrepreneur during that time? This has been a very hot topic for us over the last year. We've talked to many entrepreneurs who, some were crying on the bathroom floor. Yeah. Like, man, I don't know what's going to happen. This is it. It's over. Like, where was your mindset at when COVID happened?
I mean, Collin, no one could have. I mean, I think this is a once in a lifetime event for us, right?
Right.
Maybe in our life, no one's ever experienced anything like this. Yet, I've, as leaders, I mean, if we're standing behind this mic, I think we're responsible. You're responsible. I know you get up early in the morning, not just for yourself, but because of your team. They believe in you. And, I got to give a shout out to my wife, my better half. Every time I feel like I'm crumbling, she's the one that slaps me back in the face and that's not the person I've met. She wakes me up and says, your employees cannot see you like this. You're that guy. You have to make sure that you shine that light through. And absolutely.
How long have you been married?
Legally not married, but been together for 18 years.
Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty much like a life partner and business partner.
Yeah.
She's not my business partner, but I mean, you eventually become one, right?
No, for sure.
But I feel like during that crisis, that's when your team shines. Your true leaders become great leaders, and the ones that aren't good are going to show their true colors. I mean, I'm so touched by my employees. They're the ones that they when all my workers in our industry lost their jobs and they didn't have any food, they got together and they made these bags with like goodie bags with we called our wine distributor and they gave us free wines. We called the local coffee grinders and they gave us beans. We called the food shop, they gave us hamburgers and buns, and we gave these out to like a food bank. And that wasn't my idea. That was because, of our cultural values. And they said, this is the time to do it. Family meal. One of my guys just, invited all the staff to just, and their families to come in for meal and dinner at 5 o'clock. And you just had to sign up. And, I would, someone can grab the food. So I would just grab the car and get in my car and put the food in there and just start delivering it. These are, I think the moment we're supposed to shine. And there was only that opportunity last year, and hopefully we did it, So
I'm super interested in the aspect of, your significant other really like saying snap out of it.
Yeah.
I mean, do you find yourself as an entrepreneur kind of like going to those dark places, every once in a while? Because I'll just be honest, like the reason I'm asking the question is because I do.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, man, like that's such a vital piece to the puzzle, right? Like I don't know what I would do without my wife saying, yo, like you've been doing this for 17 years, like now's not the time you're gonna give up. You know what I mean? Like so I mean, maybe you can dive into like what that looks like for you, or
Absolutely.
just kind of the dark space. Do you get there often? I mean,
I think as leaders, it's easy for us to get there or be there, and I think we all have the right to fall. It's just we're humans, and as a matter of fact, if we show our team that we're humans, they tend to relate with you more, and I think they learn to trust you. It's okay to shed a tear or two. But it's not okay to stay there. I call it going below the line, and we all do. We come up with excuses why we're not good enough. We come up with excuses why we're not where we need to be. Once again, it's because we're human and we want that empathy from somebody else that cares for us. But yet, as leaders, we can go there, but we have to be pushed out of it. And I think everybody needs to figure out what that, the sacred push is. To whether if it's your partner, whether if it's reading in books from people and mentors who've done it before, whether if it's our coach, right? You work out at 6 a.m. every morning, in those mornings, and Jimmy, he's the guy that pushes us. I don't want to work out.
Yeah, exactly.
When you told me you work out at 6, I mean, it's we need that. We can't do it ourselves.
Yeah.
So,
do you find like I don't know. I know in entrepreneurship, you hear these words, it's a very lonely place, which almost seems crazy, right? Like, how can it be lonely? You're surrounded by your family and by your team, and but it very much can be a lonely place. That's a word that describes entrepreneurship quite often. One that I can like really, really relate to. I mean, I don't even know like where I'm going in terms of the question. I guess like how transparent are you with your team? How often do you let them see that side of you versus like pretending or acting like everything's gonna be just fine?
I think within I've got about 180 employees. It's okay to them to. I don't work with every single one of them close to close.
Right.
There's maybe 8 of them that are direct reports, and within that direct report, I understand that building that trust is so important, and so I go there with them. I'm not afraid, to share. Yet I do know that they count on me for that vision for the next step. And so, I show them that I'm human, I care for them, and I show them what I want them to do for their employees. So they have their direct reports, and there's a chain of command that really, trickles down all the way to the, to the people who you think that don't matter, which they all do. But I feel like if I don't demonstrate that within my core set of 8, then my core set of 8 won't know how to deal with their core set of 8, and down and down. So I'm a empathetic and leader. I'll admit that that's probably my strength and my weakness, but I use it on the with my employees, and I also use it with my guests.
How is it a weakness?
I feel like it can become a weakness when you start to show, if you let I don't know if you've heard about the term givers and takers. There's a great book recently that came out. I can't remember the author, but he talks about the philosophy. There are 2 types of people. There are givers and there are takers. And if you're a taker and you're in a relationship if you're a giver and you're in a relationship with a taker, it's detrimental. But if you're in a relationship and you're a giver as a leader or as a partner, and the other person, is a potential giver too, I mean, you guys can take it to another level of heights. So it's so important to understand the dynamics of that. So I didn't finish the book, but that was the rationale behind, how important it is to not let some of those empathetic moments take over you. But it's a strength because, you build trust with your employees that way. Yeah.
Would you describe your culture as empathetic? How would you, I'll just continue it. How would you describe your culture, your company culture?
Yeah, Collin, that's a great, culture is a great and hard topic to, because,
it is, yeah.
You're a business owner and what's your take on that?
On culture?
Yeah.
I believe culture is the lifeblood of the organization.
Okay.
Yeah, I believe it is the single most important thing. But it's hard. Yeah. It's hard. Like, that's why I was asking the questions about like empathy and like these, because like I can be empathetic to situations, but I've also been like very in the play. Like I'll use today as an example. Yeah. I had a team member, we're down to a handful of people at this point. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I had a team member call out sick, and I want to be like, man, I'm really sorry that you're not feeling well. Yeah. And then I go to a place of, man, it must be nice to not be the owner and have the ability to call out sick.
Oh, that's a great point.
You know what I mean? Because I think to myself, like, man, like calling the only way I would actually call out sick was if I had COVID and I knew that it could impact other people's lives around me. And it's like, all right, I'm gonna have to lock the doors, put a sign on the door, and say, hey, sorry, I have COVID, I can't show up today. But besides that, I'm gonna be here. I'm gonna muscle through it, right? Because that's what entrepreneurs do. You like get through it. Yeah. And but at the same time, I'm like, this team member calls out sick, and I love the guy to death, and I'm like, but the first thought that goes through my mind, and as much as I want to be empathetic, the first thought that went through my mind was like, man, must be nice having that ability. Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. When you said culture, it's the same thing. Should we let that happen or should we not? Right. Absolutely not. It's just because I'm nice doesn't mean it's, I would let you cross those boundaries. And so it's about being rigorous on the standards, but loving your people. And I go by tough love. And, that means you love your people, but you set boundaries, but you're tough on the standards. And I feel like if you can lead that way, when a culture, when that culture becomes acceptable to call in, then that becomes the culture. But if you actually, reverse that and you're like, oh man, I can't do that. I'm gonna get written up. It's like 2 strikes and I'm done. And that's not how I, get promoted in this company. That's not how I'm gonna get raises in this company. If that's clear as water, people will know. And I believe that's just part of culture too. And so just back to the cultural thing, you're absolutely right. It can be good culture, it can be bad culture. It doesn't matter what the heck we write on the wall or what we write on the paper, what we hand out to our employees. It's the living culture. Right. And that living culture stems from, I don't want to nerd out, but it's a mindset. It's a belief in your heart. And once you believe that and, you know that in your heart, you know what you're supposed to do. I don't have to tell you if you're going to call in or not call in.
But if you truly, and so it's we really work on that component of the business. With that many employees that I've got, I have to work on the belief more than the action. And I don't like telling people that you can't call in or, you to do extraction, you're out. I'd rather tell them why.
And really quick, just to be super clear, in case this person is listening to this episode, which is highly likely, I legitimately believe he was sick. I'm not saying that he was just calling out for the sake of calling out.
Of course.
I definitely think he was sick.
But using that as an example,
again, it's just like the mindset of just thinking man, it must be nice to have that ability because I don't. I was here till 11 o'clock last night.
Yeah. You're talking about as leaders, right? And it's a lonely road out there, and you're absolutely right. And so it's.
But when you come to talking about setting the expectations and these different things, a lot of that comes through accountability, which is a very, very difficult piece. Yeah. Something that I've struggled with personally. So I don't know if you have tips for holding people accountable, but it's something where I'm so. I'll just use an example. Yeah. Somebody shows up late by 5 minutes. It's not the end of the world.
Oh yeah.
Right? But if you let it slide, what happens? It starts to become 6 minutes. Yeah, because it starts to become normal. Other team members start to see it happening. Yeah. They start to think it's okay.
Absolutely.
And it starts to bleed into the culture, right? That this is acceptable.
Oh yeah.
And it's not, but it's okay, is this the hill that I want to die on today?
Yeah.
I've got as a leader of this business, I've got so many things to worry about. Is this the thing that I got to stop everything that I'm doing to have this conversation? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's where I go as a leader. And so I'm always back and forth. Okay, do I need to dive into this and have this conversation with this team member right now?
Yeah.
Or do I let it slide?
Yeah, it's a great question because I see parenting as the same thing. I've got 2 kids, and
how old are your kids?
1 and 3.
Okay.
Do you have kids?
I do. 7 and 11.
Oh wow!
It gets easier. It's a different world of problems.
Yeah.
But I will say it's once you get past diapers and everything else, and they can actually communicate. I'll be honest, 1 is one of my favorite ages though.
Okay.
Because they can communicate with you without actually talking.
Yeah.
But you know exactly
you want
as
them
their
to zip
parent
it once in a while.
You know what they're saying. They want to walk around and hold your finger.
Yeah.
That's a really cool age. That's probably my favorite age to be honest.
Yeah. Okay. I got to look forward to that.
Yeah. But as they get older, my kids are 7 and 11.
Yeah.
And now they're all potty trained, which so it's different as they get older, and it does. So that's what I mean, where it gets easier.
Yeah.
Obviously, I haven't dealt with teenagers yet. I'm dealing with tweens.
You got 2 more years, right?
Yeah. So
yeah, I think my kids have been the best mentors for me for the past 3 years. What,
a lesson in patience or what?
I mean, everything, right? Picking up after their poop, making sure that, how do you communicate to somebody who doesn't want to talk to you or communicate in the same language? From when fatigue hits, can you really take it to the next level? I feel and, ultimately, bottom line, one biggest lesson for me from my kids is discipline. I did a little deep, digging on this, and the word discipline comes from the word disciple. And if you really look at that, all right, I got to discipline my kids, but wait a minute, should I put them in timeout, or should I actually empathize and understand their feelings? And so when they're screaming and yelling, it's not like they want to scream and yell, because if I tell them to keep quiet and shut up, we're just pretty much telling them to not have any feelings. And so I felt like there was a moment when my kids were screaming and yelling one day, and I just had it, and I was like, oh man, they can't understand what I'm saying. So it's when it really hit me, and I said, wait a minute, Hiro, he's actually asking for help. He's asking Daddy to teach him how to cope with this. And when that happened, I felt like it was an epiphany for myself and my employees and my team. When they're having a moment of issue or challenges, we tell them not to bring it in the door, but the best moment is really to really teach them why it's important to be on time, why it's important to show up, why it's so important to really not give up when the grind gets tough. Because that's truly the difference, that it's so thin, right? Between people who make it and people who don't. And it's like, if we can coach our employees, my 7 or my 8, the difference between that success and failure, and then, you know, my kids are teaching me that, I feel like it's you know, we would trickle down and have a greater organization. So anyways, tough love, right?
Yeah.
And explaining to them why that's important.
Dude, that is so good.
Yeah.
That is so good. So, I mean, on that note, kind of talking about family now.
Yeah.
Like, how has family shifted your vision? Or has it? Because, like, for me, you know, it's super interesting.
Yeah.
Like, I like look over my 17 years, and I was definitely this entrepreneur who was like, grow.
Yeah.
Like, let's go, like, next level. You know, if we're doing 1.5 million in sales, 2 million, 2.5. How do we keep going, right? And now, you know, I had a customer actually reach out last week. It was like, hey, like, I would like to come into your showroom this weekend and buy a scooter.
Yeah.
And obviously the 23-year-old version of me would have been like, yeah, no problem. Like, I'll be there. Like, you tell me when, and I'll make it happen. Now the 38 version, well, actually, by the time this episode airs, I'll be 39. The 39-year-old version of me is very much like, no, my weekends are for my family. I'm doing travel soccer, like, not sacrificing it whatsoever. I don't even care if it's for a scooter sale or not. Like, I'm not gonna like make that sacrifice. You know what I mean? So, and so now I'm actually in a place where I'm kind of like, all right, like, I'm gonna focus more on like streamlining, efficiency, making the business as profitable as possible at, even if it means it's at a 1.5 million mark versus a 2.5 million mark. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Like, focusing on that. So I'm just kind of interested, like, having children who are 1 and 3 year old changed your vision for growth at all?
You should ask me this question 10 years from now, and it'll probably change, right?
I don't know, maybe. Like, I'm super interested. And if it hasn't changed yet, like, do you think it will?
You know, Colin, I've always joked around and I said, hey, look, I think I'm a better father today because of my, you know, restaurant kids. They've really taught me a lot about life, but there's nothing that's more real and different than holding a live, kicking, screaming, pooping being, right? And you're like, holy, you know,
so true.
It's real life. Oh man, you know, how is my life going to change? And I feel like it's different for everybody. And as long as I feel like I look at my life in increments of 5 or 10 anyway. And so, you know, I tell myself when, you know, during this 5 years, this is how I want to live my life. And, and I'm really purposeful. I try not to let life happen to me. And so I have a plan on where I want to be, whether if it's family, but I feel like you can't do it all. You know, you have to make sacrifices. It's either going to be sacrificed at work, or it's going to be sacrificed at home. And a great mentor of mine has said that to me before, Hiro. If you want to be the world's best, you know, you need to know that you have to make huge sacrifices. But if you don't care about that and you're okay with a certain level of success or achievement, then you can allow a little bit of room for other things. And so, you know, but most importantly, you have to know what you want. And he's like, here, let me ask you, go to Subway. Do you know how you want your sandwiches? And I'm like, yeah, I want it on wheat bread. I want roast beef. I want lettuce, you know, vinegar, salt and vinegar, hold the olives, and toast the cheese, and blah, blah, blah. I can clearly state it. Then he asked me the next question. What do you want to be in the next 5 years with your family? And I couldn't answer it.
Interesting.
And I was like, all right, if I can order a sandwich, but I can't really, you know, I've had a lot of digging to do. And so that was a moment where I said to myself, all right, I need to really be clear. I'm so clear on where I want my path to be. For me right now, as a new father, I'm still trying to figure out, you know, how much time I can give to my family. because I have a set of responsibility at work that I don't want to let down. And so that burden is pretty heavy. But I feel like within the resources and time, I've got a lovely wife that just gives me that opportunity. And she knows that I'm trying to get to a certain place. She's also a working mother. So she also is trying to do certain things outside of family. So because it's like
I know your name is Hiro, but she's the real hero in the family, right?
That's true. That's absolutely true.
Dude,
you probably would rather have her here. Yeah, but it's, you know, she understands that for me to be a great father, I have to also have a great work life. Yeah. And so what limited time I have, I do the best I can to make sure that every minute counts because we're all limited. And for now, the next 5 years is really about quality time, not quantity. And that goes for my employees and also with my kids and family at home.
So what things do you do to be able to deliver that quality time? Is it just time blocking, or like what are some of the things that you do?
I think I've for example, you know, when my son, he was having a moment, as a matter of fact, right before I came here, and we were having dinner, and he just didn't want to eat. You know, one of your typical terrible 3s, right? And terrible 4s and 5 and 10 or whatever it goes on to. And he just started shedding tears and crying and screaming. And I mean,
were you trying to give him peas?
What's that?
Wasabi peas?
Or were you trying to give him? Actually, I'm training them to eat hot sauce, so that might have been it. But it was a trigger point, and he was screaming and yelling, and I could have just, you know, put him in timeout and told him to just stay quiet and get away. But I felt that he needed me more. So I tried to find the patience inside of me, and I laid next to him, and I actually just screamed with him. I put my earplugs on, but I said, hey, let's go out there and let's let it all out together. And I think that moment just really hit me. And I said, this is what I want to do, and I'm doing it right now. Sorry, I'm choking up a little bit, but
yeah,
it's really that moment. I felt like maybe to him it didn't really matter, but to me, it was, that 5 minutes of just like empathizing and just being with him in that moment of misery felt good to me, and he was able to calm down. And for me, I felt like it was a check, like a win of getting that trust with him. And so hopefully he felt safe within my boundaries. So yeah, that I felt like is quality with him. Same with when I go to work. I was in Miami last week, and we were really busy. We were down a dishwasher, so it was just 2 of us. I was back there and just scrubbing those pots and pans with him, and it might have been 5 minutes.
Was he screaming? Did you start screaming with him?
I'm sure he was,
Put
but
the
I was like,
earplugs in?
Oh no, yeah. I was like, man, this has got to stop. And I could have said, just shut the door. Let's make this stop. But I think that grinding it out with him.
How much does a dishwasher make really quick these days? I asked because I used to be one at Outback Steakhouse like way back in the day. I'm just kind of curious if it's.
So it ranges anywhere from I don't know, but it goes all the way from minimum wage all the way to probably just on the low level 12,
okay.
13 an hour, 12.
Sorry, that was really for my own benefit.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to interrupt.
No. It probably gets paid more than me right now if you divide all the hours. But that's a great point. It's so important to really connect with them. Not just monetarily, but if you do find a good dishwasher who's accountable and responsible, I don't care if I pay them the most in the kitchen, because no one wants to do that position.
Yeah.
And if you can do it well, consistently, over and over and over again, I feel like, in my opinion, that's just a true person with true passion and accountability.
Yeah.
That's worth more. And I'm willing to, someone that can deliver day in, day out and do a great job, they're worth the weight in gold. But yeah.
It's interesting, just kind of hearing those stories. I reflect back to my time at Outback Steakhouse, where it used to be right there next to the movie theater.
Yeah.
On, right there at Archer Road, 34th area. I remember one time I was working at Outback as a busser in college. I used to do, the busters did dish as well, but I was bussing on Valentine's Day.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Lots of 2 top tables, right? But it was me and 4 other busters, and my manager, the floor manager,
Yeah.
like came up to me, is like, it's a shame that you're the only person working tonight, because the other guys were kind of just like not doing anything, and I was hustling, I was working my butt off, and I looked him square. This is like one of the times where I realized like I was meant for leadership.
Yeah.
I look him square in the eye and I say, send him home. I was like, I'll do all of it by myself.
Ooh, yeah.
I was like, I'll do all of it. You give me their tip share.
Yeah.
Like I'm in. I will work my tail off tonight for you.
Ooh, yeah.
And I did. I bust Valentine's Day all by myself.
Oh man,
it's like one of the craziest.
Are you looking for a dish position? I need one.
Yeah,
I need one good one.
Dude, I can do those dishes pretty dang fast.
I don't know if I can afford you though.
But yeah, I mean, it's crazy just like reflecting back to those times, those early times in business, in life. You know, even starting the dealership. Like,
yeah, I had no idea you were in the restaurant business.
Yeah.
I mean, now it tells.
I worked at Outback Steakhouse as a busser in high school, and then when I moved to Gainesville for college, like I just went to the Outback. I was like, yo, I did this elsewhere. You know, I did this in San Antonio, Texas when I worked there. Like, you know, they're like, oh yeah, we can transfer you, no big deal.
Until you found a real job, right?
Yeah, which I had no idea. It was like I stumbled into entrepreneurship, which just sounds very similar to like it's always fascinating to me that entrepreneurs kind of stumble into it a lot of the times.
Yeah.
You know, because you made a business plan for somebody else's business.
Yeah.
Right? And then you executed it yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, can we actually dive back to that for a second? Because like, I mean, what in you, like, what was your, like, where did the guts come from to actually do it?
Ooh, that's a great question.
You know,
why not just let it collect dust, right?
Yeah, a lot of people just don't have the guts to actually execute and to do it.
Yeah.
Right. So why do you think you did? You obviously pulled in a couple partners, right? You executed and said, okay, like, let's do this Dragonfly sushi thing. Let's do it.
You know, that's a really, really good question.
Because I mean, to be honest, you made it sound super casual. Right? You made it sound like, oh, you know, like it was kind of like to fill in this hole.
Yeah. You know,
but it's way deeper than that. Let's be honest. Like nobody just like starts a sushi business just to like.
Hey, I've been asked a lot of questions, but that's a first for me.
I did it, you guys. I did it. I asked the question. You know, I always try to ask questions that nobody else actually asks on interviews. So I'm kind of glad.
Now I'm stumbled, right? Like, why don't we do episode 2 then? And we'll answer there.
And honestly, I would love to, because this has like been very thought provoking. I've been circling stuff all over my paper.
So I think for me, I mean, my gut answer would probably be, I have a fear of not progressing, and I have a fear of standing still. I have a fear of just rotting away, and I try to share that. And when I see that in other people, that gets me excited. It does frustrate me when I see people that don't act and they just talk about things, and it just becomes a grand vision with no execution. And I think something must happen to me in my childhood. I would have to sit there and think about it.
Do you have any idea? You don't know where that fear comes from?
No, not really. There was one. Okay, if you ask me for a moment in history, my childhood, I remember I was curious, and I decided to open up, our family tube, the TV that was like humongous, and it was before the Google days, right? I got a screwdriver and I just like went to town and I screwed every single, screw in there, and it was all over the table, the living room, and
were your parents pissed?
This was 3 o'clock, and I'm like, oh man, I was just curious to see what was in there, like with all these cool TV and people in there, and
super interesting.
After I opened it up, my mom came back and she was so mad. She was just like, she didn't have to say anything, but she gave me that fear. She's one of those moms, like, she would grab her shoes and about to throw up and never did. And they were like, oh no, I'm gonna get hit. But that day she said, hey, you're not eating dinner until you figure out how to fix it. And I put everything back together, and I prayed that it turned back on.
Did it?
I don't think it did. And that kind of stuck with me for to this moment, and so it's that's probably those little moments like that where I feel like, and then I've also seen my parents, they work their butt off. They've always done, they've always executed. They've always did things. So that probably stuck with me.
And so, I mean, it's crazy. We got to wrap up soon.
Yeah.
It goes by so fast, and it's like I wish I could just ask the questions kind of rapid fire and be like, let's go. So what does success look like to you? I mean, you've been doing this how long? I mean, 21 years, right? You said it started in 2000. We got locations in Gainesville, Orlando, and Miami. I mean, have you achieved success? And if not, like, what does it look like?
There's a book called Designing for Life. I think, I'm bad with authors, but, at the end of the day, it's about the content, right? And what I got out of there was they asked me a lot of tough, great questions, and it forced me to write my life's purpose. And I felt, like the next 5 to 10 years really is about working with people who are driven, people who have the potential to do more than they are today. And if I can successfully make them successful within my resources and my capacity, I would feel like I've succeeded. And so for me, it's about giving. And I get the most joy out of that. And it's not really a material gift. I feel like if I can give them knowledge on how to really push and take it to the next level, I'm paid back in tenfolds, hundredfolds. And so that's my next mission is to really, when I know my employees can buy a house, buy a car, and if they can go and open up another restaurant, I feel good about those things, and I just want to be part of that success, with them. So yeah, in a nutshell, that's what success looks like to me.
Love it. I mean, earlier you said you were just down in Miami. You were behind the dish, doing dishes and stuff like that. I mean, like, what does your schedule look like? I mean, do you bounce around between the locations quite often, or?
So I do. I used to do a lot more travel, but since recently moving back I actually live in Gainesville now.
Okay.
I've really tried to figure out what am I good at and what do I suck at, and I realized that maybe suck is not a good word, but
what do you suck at?
I think I can find people that are better at managing the restaurants than I could. So I recently just promoted a director of operations to take over my job.
Okay.
So I'm pretty much unemployed now. And I'm utilizing my time to really fulfill that mission that I shared with you earlier, is to find people that really have potential to do more than they're capable of. And if I can wake up every day and really work towards that goal and share that dream, I feel like I would have achieved. So in a nutshell,
let other people manage them.
What's that?
And then let other people manage them.
Yeah. And we're going to have my director of operations manage them. And so they would take care of that part.
So do you consider yourself a visionary entrepreneur?
Yeah. Very, very much so.
Yeah, this is a topic that's come up several times over the last several episodes. Yeah. I mean, I'm the same way. I'm a very visionary entrepreneur. Like, I've actually discovered, and it's crazy that I've been doing this for 17 years. I would say that in the last few years, I've discovered that, I'm not the greatest manager.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of it comes down to the things that we were talking about before, like the accountability stuff. And because I would let things slide. Whereas, like, really there needs to be a manager. It's like, you know what? We can't, you can't let that slide. You can't do that. You know what I mean? And I just, and I'll, say, please forgive me for repeating myself on the show. Yeah. But like because I've said this multiple times, like, I'm the guy who wants to know where you want to go in life. What are your dreams? What are your aspirations? How can I, as a human, help you get there? Yeah. And that's and let
me ask you, like, when you have to deal with the minutia of managing people, does that take away from you doing that job?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, it's. Yeah, I don't know. It's like one of those things you can get like super deep on, right? Like,
of course, yeah.
I like doing what you were saying, like pulling the very best out of people.
Yeah.
Right. I like to take somebody who doesn't believe that they can do something and show them you can do that.
Yeah.
And we're going to be a better organization because you did it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I love that. I hate when I don't have the opportunities to do that because I get tied in the weeds from somebody who showed up to work late, or I got to sit down and write a performance improvement plan. The word, like, God, like, just shoot me in the leg already. Like, it's the worst, you know? And I would have told you 10 years ago that there was absolutely a time where I was like, you know what? I'm going to have a company that has 1,000 team members. Like, I'm going to manage a lot of people. I'm going to do exactly that. And like, it's not to say that it won't happen, but what I've realized is that there's like, especially with family and a lot of the things that have come into my life over the last, several years, I'm like, it's a little bit of the opposite. It's like, how can I build a great organization without having a lot of people that I have to like hold accountable all the time?
It's leverage, right? Like, it's about how do you?
It's shifted. That's kind of like why I was asking these questions earlier. Like, now that you have a family, has your vision shifted at all? Like, and I think that's where a lot of that comes from. So, I don't know, man. I'm a visionary entrepreneur too. I admire people who are great managers.
I think it's having the ability to be vulnerable to say, stop doing what we suck at doing, and really, promote people that may be a better fit. Yeah. And find out what we're good at doing, and really pursue, get back on track, and really take it to where we're supposed to go to.
Yeah, absolutely. So a couple questions that I wanted to ask you before we wrap this up. Well, I would say that your restaurant is known for being like, every time I've been there, seen there, like, it's jam-packed. Like, you gotta wait there, which is great. I gotta think as a business owner, it's great. Does that ever stress you out? Like, when you have like a 2-hour wait, are you kind of like, oh man, we don't have the ability to like take care of everybody right now? Is there any sort of anxiety that comes with that, or are you just kind of like, no, we're the best. You're gonna have to wait 2 hours for the best. Like, where's your head at as the owner there?
Collin, that's a question I'm sure the guest that's been waiting 2 hours want to hear. To be honest, that gives me anxiety.
It gives you anxiety. It would me too. That's why
I am not happy with the waits. As a matter of fact, if I do not have to make them, wait, it would make my life much, because by making people wait that long, the expectation just gets higher, and their hunger just gets higher and higher, and so their irritability is at an all-time high. And so it's not that easy at that point to really try to figure out, how do I provide the service that I need to. It wasn't always like that. It wasn't like that in any other 3 restaurants I've opened, or 4. Well, I had to close that one, years ago. But it's, you have to build your customers, and your success basically leads to having this, demand for your product. Yet you have a different set of problems. My new challenge is to make sure that I tell my team not to take this for granted. The people that are walking in through the door, they're not coming for the food. They're not coming for the drinks. For someone to wait this long to grab your product, you're selling something bigger than that. And that's the quest that I'm on. That's the vision that I'm trying to paint for my team to deliver on the floor. That it's that the guests are here for hospitality, and that they're here to celebrate and remember, and and make a special date or occasion out of that. And if we don't deliver on that feeling, we've failed. I don't care if the food tasted good or not good at that level. That's just the basic entry. You need that. Your scooters have to run on all cylinders. It cannot fall apart. But that's just, anybody else can sell that. But the reason why people come to you is that feeling. What's that feeling they get, when they come through your doors? What's the feeling when they get when they go on your website and talk to your sales associates? It's the same thing for me, and I can't forget that. And that's the basics. It's really about the feeling that people get and not the thought that they think about your product, because thoughts don't equal sales. No one says, I think I'm going to need a scooter. I think I'm going to need to eat some sushi today, or go get a cocktail. Yeah. It's because I feel like I love that girl and I want to take her out on a date and I want to show her the best time. So maybe she'll be my wife one day. That's a feeling. And our job is to deliver that. So
that's awesome.
Anyways.
I mean, that kind of goes into the whole like customer experience part of it, and which is something I'm super passionate about, which will have to be a whole nother episode one day, because man, I could dive into that area all day long. So I guess, I circled like so many different things, but I'll wrap it up with this. How about, like, you talked about like a couple times I heard the word mentor throughout this conversation. I think that's such a vital piece to the growth of anybody, like whether it's a college student or whether it's, an entrepreneur. I mean, it sounds like you have some pretty incredible mentors in your life.
Yeah, I actually do. And I owe a lot of it to them. Absolutely.
One of the questions that I get asked a lot is, how do you go about finding the right mentor? Can you speak to like how, if I were in college student right now, at the University of Florida, maybe I'm a startup entrepreneur, and I'm, this was so great about Gainesville. So there's a lot of strong startups, right? How would you go about finding the right mentor for your business and for yourself?
It's that's a really, you're absolutely right. Like, asking for someone to help feels awkward and uncomfortable. Right. But in this day and age, there's no excuse. I mean, you deliver a great product. I mean, look at all your podcasts. 100 and how many? 130?
This is 152, baby.
I'm on the 152th one.
Yes, sir.
252nd one. But if you really think about it, every single one of them, there's a common denominator, those are your mentors. I'm sure there's a theme. What's the one theme that you see from all these?
Leadership.
Yeah, leadership. Okay.
Leadership. Out of all the episodes, it's funny because we've dived in. We've had authors, we've had children, we've had police officers, we've had sports figures, we've had obviously a plethora of entrepreneurs. Because I'm an entrepreneur and it obviously leans that way. But when I like pull one theme together, I'm like, you can pull leadership aspects from all of these conversations for sure. Yeah.
And what about that leadership? Like, what differentiates them versus the others? What's the one that sticks out?
What do you mean?
In terms of leadership, like what, how do they deliver on that?
How do they deliver on
what are the better leaders doing?
Oh man, they're surrounding themselves with the people that they want to be like, right? Yeah. Like it's funny because it goes back to like an episode I remember John Spence. What John Spence very much said, you become the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with.
Yeah. He's actually one of my mentors too.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And one of mine. So like it's super interesting. Like. And I encourage people that all the time, but still, I think you're right. I think it feels kind of awkward to like reach out and say, "Hey, can you be my mentor?" Or I would assume that you probably get hit up all the time, and you're busy running all of these businesses, right? So how do you pick who to be a mentee? To be your mentee.
That's a great. I've actually mentored a lot of people, and I've actually become a little more selfish with my time now because it's about quality versus quantity.
Sure.
And I start to only pick. I give them a little bit of homework. I make them do the work. If they actually deliver on that, then I know they passed my test. Then I would invest in that.
Okay.
But if all they want is just because it sounds cool, that I've got a mentor, or I'm not interested in that. I'm not gonna give up the limited time that I have for that. But if there is 1 in a million that actually, will deliver on that, I will pour. I would keep continuing to give them those feasibility tests or that next hurdle. And it's like a mutual relationship, and I look for that. I learn just as much from a mentee as from a mentor. But But like you said, and
That's a very common answer too.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is like I surround I want to be a mentor of somebody who I can learn a lot from.
Yep.
It's very, very common.
So yeah, so you know, no excuse, right? Like I think if you're really interested in that, you better watch all the episodes and really try to figure out what's the common denominator. YouTube, TED Talk. As a matter of fact, I just recently signed up at Harvard Business Review online. It's affordable. It's, to get like world-class teachers, Clay Christensen on Innovator's Dilemma, and to really like take the 4 or 5 week courses. It's just so much information. There's just really no excuse. They record videos and knowledge. There's books. No excuse.
How much time do you spend investing into yourself like that?
Quite a bit. Every morning, we're talking about, we work out early in the morning, right? We have to.
Early.
I'm like, oh my gosh, my day starts at 7 a.m. When can I work out? It has to be 6 o'clock. It's got to be 5:30. That's the only way. So then I got to go to sleep early. They're going to make sacrifices.
Luckily, Jimmy wakes up at like 3 a.m. So it's like, it's no big deal for him.
But
shout out to Jimmy Jennings, by the way.
Oh, yeah. So absolutely. It's really making those time in the mornings. For me, it's about an hour. From 7 o'clock to 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock, there's 2 hours of quiet time where I know everybody's asleep. And I'm like, why not get ahead in life? And I've been doing that for the past 10 years.
Hiro, I got to just let you know, man. I don't know what it is, but somewhere around like 5, 6, 7,
yeah,
the kids start to wake up at like 6 a.m. I don't know what it is. Like my kids wake up at like 6:30 a.m. consistently. And I'm like, you guys, sleep in. It's okay.
Yeah.
Sleep in. So I hope that time doesn't become disrupted for you.
No, well, thank you for that. But yeah, I have a clock, and so far that's worked. And that clock turns green, and they're not allowed to come out of the room until it's green.
Okay.
And so far they obey the clock. They think it's some sort of magical, God.
Dude, you figured it out.
So far, but hey, look, I'm sure they're going to realize that unplug that thing one day and be like, it's not green, Dad. I'm coming out.
That's epic. Man, this has been a lot of fun.
Likewise.
I could have asked a million more questions, and we'll have to have you back sometime. Thank you so much for carving out the time for us and for our
thank
audience.
you for this cocktail.
Yeah, dude. That's shout out to Andrew Amron from last episode. I mean, he brought the goods. So mad love to him. And the special ice.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man. Gainesville Ice Doctors. Special love to him. I have 2 questions that I'd like to wrap up with. The first is, if we could connect you to anyone in the world, who would that be?
Anyone in the world?
Yeah.
I got to say it's my mom.
Your mom?
Yeah. She passed away 15 years ago. But she's always said, before she passed away, she wanted me to make sure that I was doing something with my life. And I think she'll be proud.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
So it's always nice to reflect back and think about that,
Yeah.
I know she would be proud.
I took her last savings to open up Dragonfly. That's another reason why. And so I want to be able to pay her, but she's resting peacefully. So,
it's crazy. There's a lot of emotion.
I'll buy her TV.
There's a lot of emotion wrapped up into that, huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
Taking that last of her savings and look at what you've accomplished. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's going to be super exciting to watch this journey, man. I'm honored that I just get to watch from the outside in. I'm super honored that I got to finally connect with you and even have you on our show.
Well, likewise, when we met, I've heard stories of what you've done, and so it's we've pretty much we came out of Gainesville. Yeah,
dude, Gainesville's home, baby.
Yep.
I love it. So tell our audience where they can connect with you. Where can they? I mean, obviously, your website. Where's your restaurant located? If for those that don't know,
we're if you're listening in Gainesville, we're downtown Gainesville, and definitely come on a Monday, Tuesday, where we can give you all the love. Weekends always been busy, so also if you can go to Orlando, our restaurants there on Sand Lake Road, and Miami. We're on the west side of Miami, where everybody's moving out to. If you want to connect with me socially, we're on Instagram. It's Dragonfly_Gainesville or Dragonfly_Orlando or Dragonfly_Doral. Hiro loves natto. That's my Instagram. Natto is this fermented bean that people probably hate, but that's where I get my protein.
Okay. Awesome, man. It doesn't come from the wasabi flavored peas?
No.
Does this have protein in it? 5 grams?
Oh, yeah. Just eat the whole bag.
Dang. Okay. It's the good stuff right here, you guys. Well, thanks for those gifts too.
Oh, you're welcome.
I'm gonna keep them here. I'll like have them on the front counter as I'm selling scooters. I'll be like, "Why are you eating wasabi flavored peas?" I'll be like, "Because it was a gift and it's delicious." Well, again, thank you so much for coming on the show, man. A lot of fun.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Can't wait for the next time. And thank you to Jason and Moss from Short Media Group here to help with tonight's podcast recording. Appreciate you guys. Much love for sticking it out all night with me. And podcast fam, if you're driving and didn't have the chance to write down, the information from our sponsors, I got you. Just go to whoagnv.com/sponsors. There's links to all the great people that make this podcast possible. Could not do it without them. I'm just, just honored that I've had the ability to record 152 episodes of this show. It's just been super.
How long have you been doing this?
It's basically 3 years now.
Wow.
Yeah, so 3 years in May, which actually right about the time this releases, it'll be 3 years.
Wow.
So.
I mean, that's some like dedication. So
yeah,
congratulations.
It's been a lot of fun. Hopefully one day it'll become like the full time gig. I love the scooter business, but we've had multiple conversations even on this show about how I know that my life is starting to kind of transition to the next thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I'm sure you could mentor me on how to step out and let other people take control. I look forward to that day for sure. And in the meantime, it's a wonderful opportunity to meet incredible people like yourself and the other amazing business owners in the area that are just doing epic things. And I would just encourage everybody who's listening to support the businesses that you hear on here. Go to Dragonfly this weekend and have that delicious meal. And I want to give some love to a sponsor before we wrap up. Special love this episode to my friends at Gainesville Harley-Davidson. Go ahead and get this in your calendars now, you guys. The last Friday of every month is bike night at Gainesville Harley-Davidson. No matter if you're a seasoned rider, a beginner, or prefer 4 wheels, everyone is welcome at Gainesville Harley-Davidson for fun events like these. Again, bike night takes place the last Friday of every month from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m., where Gainesville Harley-Davidson has food, fun, and live music. Remember to always ride safe and never drink and ride. Go to GainesvilleHarley.com to learn more. And when you visit bike night at our friends over at Gainesville Harley, be sure to say, "Hey, I heard you on the WHOA GNV podcast." The podcast bring you businesses and individuals that make you go, whoa. Whoa. We will see you later. Bye, guys.